Hello, it's Doug from Behind Closed Doors, and today I'm going to be looking at John Anthony Lifestyle, my simple dating system I use to sleep with 1,250 plus women in 30 plus countries. This should be a very interesting video.
Hey guys, welcome to John Anthony Lifestyle. I am John Anthony, an international dating coach who's spent the past 10 years of his life optimizing and perfecting the best dating system in the world. Okay, how can I say that? How can I make that claim? Okay, I personally have slept with over 1,250 girls across 30 different countries all around the world. Okay, I've helped thousands of men.
You see, that's a lot of people, isn't it? Like, just think about the amount of time, energy, resources, and just stamina you'd need to have to be able to do that. Just the logistics of sleeping with that many people. It's exhausting just thinking about it, isn't it?
Thousands of men, okay, given large conference talks all over the world, okay, recorded all kinds of hidden camera interactions with women, okay. I want to show you guys in a very quick and easy presentation, okay, it's less than 30 minutes, how you can go from zero or wherever you're at to becoming extremely advanced, okay, in an expert level with women. Okay, I'm going to show you the three main steps of my system. I'm going to break them down and show you how you can start getting these results today, okay. So you're going to learn a lot in under 30 minutes. Okay, and I'm going to give you my background as well and how the system came to be where it is today.
You see, there's a lot of these people on here that I've reviewed that give dating advice, especially to men and stuff. And I think this is the first time that I've seen somebody that is doing it based on their unique selling point is the fact that it's based on the amount of people that they've slept with. So that's a very interesting, unique selling point. And it's nice that he's put it out for free on the internet for people to watch.
Okay, so without further ado, here's the presentation. Enjoy.
Everyone is selling the dream. They all say girls can magically throw themselves at you without you having to do any work. Most of it is honestly bullshit. Let me ask you this. How would you like to attract and sleep with 2, 5, even 10 beautiful women on demand every single month while being able to predict success with girls down to the number of girls and the day? You should have said yes to that, of course, and that would be great. That's serious success with women if you can do that. Okay, the only problem is most people have no idea how to do any of that, and they're listening to the...
Yeah, I think the reason why most people don't have an idea how to do any of that is because the three most important areas are health, wealth, and relationships. They're the three big niche markets in selling and stuff. And when you think about it, like at school, nobody teaches you the social skills for relationships, the financial management for your finances, and how to have the best diet. And instead, on all three of those areas, you've got people coming out selling you different solutions because that's the nature of capitalism. And it's difficult to know who to trust in all three of those areas. Everyone will offer you money advice, everyone will offer you health advice, what diet to eat, what exercise to do, how to interact with the opposite sex and all that kind of stuff, or the same sex, depending what you're into. It's a minefield, really. There's so much, and especially now with the internet and YouTube, there's so much information out there. It's very difficult to decipher down what is relevant information.
wrong people, and the wrong people are screwing them over. Okay, guys? So here are 3 big fires that need to be put out to start dating beautiful women. The first one is knowing how to approach a woman in public. The second one is knowing exactly how to interact with her to generate attraction quickly. And the third one is knowing how to close the deal. If you can do all of those 3 things,
That's a very good, simple framework, because knowing how to approach women in public, well, a lot of people have approach anxiety, so that's one of the main things that stops people from approaching. Knowing exactly how to interact with her to generate attraction quickly. Yeah, because again, it's sort of like a lot of people may end up in the friend zone because they haven't created attraction or desire in the interaction of the relationship, and knowing how to close the deal.
all those 3 things, you can start dating beautiful women with predictability. It's as simple as that. The problem is, for each one of these fires, there are a million possible extinguishers, and some of these extinguishers, most of them in fact, except for one of them, all have gasoline in them. So which one
Oh, imagine that. You went for a fire extinguisher and it had gasoline in it and just made the situation worse. It's terrible.
do you choose? You should spray this liquid on the fire. It's either gasoline or the liquid that puts out the fire. Maybe this dating course will help me do it. Oops, nope, that's gasoline. Didn't help me put out the fire. What about this YouTube video? Oh, this YouTube video will definitely help me have success with women. Nope, gasoline. Oh, this ebook is a solution. Nope, made it worse. The truth is, guys, only men with a predictable system for meeting, attracting, and closing beautiful women can say this. When I use my system, my extinguisher, the fires go out and I get hot girls. Hello, my name is John Anthony and I'm the guy with the extinguisher, okay? I have the predictable system to meet, attract, and close 5, even 10
Like Fireman Sam we have over here, but he's Fireman John.
beautiful women on demand every single month while being able to predict with predictability down to the number of girls in the week. And I know everyone says they have the system, they've got the juice, they've got the sauce, okay? I'm going to show you in this next 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, how to do this right now and let you know that I know what I'm talking about. I'm the dude with the fire extinguishers. I've got the goods, sorry about it. I actually know what I'm doing. I'm going to show you guys the only 3 steps that you will ever need to be successful in your dating life, okay? Approach a beautiful woman using my 8 principles that are guaranteed to send women into an attraction frenzy.
You see, I don't like all that stuff. Approach beautiful women using my 8 principles. So now I've got to remember 8 things. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, it really overcomplicates it. You know, throughout human history, people have met and had sex and they did it and were very successful, and that's why we're here now. And it's interesting how people have kind of like made it more complicated than it probably needs to be.
Approach with the 8 principles, use insanely simple seduction techniques, and then implement the right systems and processes to close women on autopilot so you can actually have a life, okay? And it's important to have a life, guys. And some of you are probably thinking, who is this John Anthony guy, and why the hell should I listen to him? All right, and rightfully so. There are all these idiots on the internet. Why should I listen to this guy? And that's a really good question. So let me share a quick story. It will only take 5 seconds. My name is John Anthony. I'm a world-renowned dating coach from New York City, but I've lived all over the world and trained thousands of men. I went from a nerdy 18-year-old virgin to sleeping with my 100th girl by age 28 and more than 1,000 women by the age of 35.
Yeah, Paul Janker was the last dating coach I looked at, and he was from New York City. So be careful when you go down to New York, there might be some players about.
So in May of 2006, this was me, all right? I was a shy, insecure nerd who was in math and chess club, day traded stocks, and played the violin. I was terrified.
You know what? I can see where he was at, and I can see what he's going to say. I love this whole kind of like transformation, you know, whether it's rags to riches or sort of like the guy that no one paid attention to being the ultimate player or whatever it is. I love all those kind of success stories because, you know, when you get something and it's inherent, you know, like, you know, you're just born with, you know, whatever it is that attracts people, then it's sort of like effortless from the get-go. So you don't realise how difficult some of these things are for most people. So it's nice to see that he started off in a certain position. He wasn't happy with his life. He changed his life to get the results that he wanted. And now he's sharing that information with other people.
I had to talk to women and had lots of nervousness and social anxiety, all right? It really sucked. By the end of university, I'd only slept with 2 women, and they were both below average. Okay, not my finest moments. By June of 2007, I was working on nuclear, biological, and chemical missile defense systems for the United States government. I have a very hyper-analytical, systematic mind that allows me to quickly master skill games.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I think that people... I once heard somebody say this, I forget who it was. They said the people that suffer the most with relationships are the ones that overanalyze everything. And because they just look too much into things. And like I said a minute ago, it's sort of like throughout human history, you know, sex was quite straightforward and simple. It wasn't for most, you know, most, having said that, most men in history didn't reproduce and most women in history did. And I understand that there's an asymmetry there. But the world has changed so much since then.
Games like chess and poker. I was using these superpowers to keep Americans safe against enemy nuclear attacks and also to become a world-class professional poker player. I know I look happy here, I'm smiling there, but those were tough times, right? I could barely get out of bed. I just wasn't happy or fulfilled deep down because I didn't have a beautiful woman who adored me that I so desperately longed for.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I know that people put a lot of stuff on material possessions and things, and it is important to be able to go from A to B and to eat food and, you know, have a roof over your head and stuff. But really, if you haven't got like some sort of an intimate relationship in your life, you're very much an unfulfilled human being.
I had no direction. I had no purpose. I dreaded returning to my apartment alone or seeing guys in public with beautiful women. Why couldn't I be like them and have what they have? Okay, sound familiar, guys? And then one day
Yeah, so again, I can see. So a lot of this, what he's saying is obviously he's gone through this journey and he's describing it, and it's probably kind of the avatar of the customer that he's reaching out to as well, that can identify with what he's saying.
After winning first place in a poker tournament, I treated some friends to drinks all night at the bar. We talked to a lot of women that night and were constantly and pretty much harshly rejected. Okay, it was pretty brutal. I returned home with my best friend and we were both so sad and frustrated. I just had enough of it, right? I told him that there must be a better way. There must be a method to the madness. I figured it wouldn't be so lonely and unfulfilled if I just had a bunch of hot women in my life, all right? I'm sure a lot of you guys have been there. I decided to redirect my analytical
Well, I think that especially if you have a bunch of them, women aren't always the easiest people to deal with, especially in relationships. And the course of true love never did run smooth. So if you're going to have like a harem of women in your life, you need to be quite sorted in yourself and who you are and know how to manage them. So, it's one of those things of, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. And everything has a price. And like I said earlier, like we're sleeping with all them women. That's time that he spent doing that he didn't do something else. There's a cost benefit to everything.
redirect my analytical and optimization superpowers to attraction and seduction with the goal of developing mastery and far beyond. I started off in 2009 by reading some of the most popular seduction and attraction manuals that were out there. I devoured anything and everything dating related and neatly organized and categorized it all in my mind. I was able to digest and synthesize the information like a computer, and I immediately started seeing patterns, flowcharts, and diagrams in male to female interaction. All right, that's just how my mind works, guys. Now, by June of 2012, even with all the obstacles and tough lessons I had to learn, I had slept with over 100 different women. All right, I had made solid progress, but I knew I could not reach the highest levels of success with women by myself.
Yeah, so you can see here from his graph, assuming that he's telling the truth and this is accurate, so I'm just going to assume that and not question it. So yeah, you can see it's literally a nice diagonal line going up, and then it goes up almost relatively exponentially to the previous few years.
I had slept with over 100 different women. All right, I had made solid progress, but I knew I could not reach the highest levels of success with women by
So it looks like he learned something in April 2012 and July or February 2017, 18, and that's changed the whole course of his progress.
myself. That's when I became very actively involved in the seduction community, regularly posting technical breakdowns of social interactions on the top forums and meeting other aspiring seducers. I quickly became a superstar in the top seduction forums, and in January 2013, I was handpicked to be part of an exclusive elite group of the top 30 seduction experts in the world. Okay, I vacuumed up all the knowledge and skills from
Bloody hell, this is like the Olympics of pickup seduction. Blimey.
each of these elite guys on that group and found the common overlap in key areas. Now, this combined with rigorous practice and testing gave birth to the foundation of the system that I still use today. Okay, so I had slept with over 150 girls by January of 2013. By March, it had gone crazy, and I quit my missile defense job and decided to become a full-time dating coach. Okay, you can see some of the women I dated. It was fantastic. All right, I was living in exciting places like
Well, we see some of them, but we mostly see their asses.
Miami, London, LA, Poland, Ukraine, Portugal, Puerto Rico, China, Colombia, Toronto, etc. I slept with and dated models, actresses, Playboy centerfolds, Instagram models, beauty pageant winners, you name it. Okay, all because I had the dating skills to do so, right? Now, this is all over the world. I had this amazing girlfriend in Vegas, this other amazing girlfriend in Puerto Rico, another in Portugal. I'm going through this fast because I want to get to the meat of this, guys. But basically, I slept with tons of hot chicks all over the globe. I was seeing this one model. I ended up ending things with her because I realized I couldn't deal with jealousy and drama every freaking second. All right. Now, this is an international supermodel. Come on. She was so annoying that I actually broke up with her. Okay. She told me that no guy ever drops her because she was so hot. But all this stuff happened to me in the past past decade. Okay. Now, I've currently slept with 1,189 different women and was averaging over 100 new per year. This is a fact. This is all over the internet. This is on my YouTube channel, whatever. All right. This was my seduction mastery journey, right? All those years, I was a lonely, shy nerd. And that day after the poker tournament, I made a promise to change everything and go down a different path. All right. And now, and fast forward all these years to today, I've slept with over 1,000 different women. I mean, just look at this, guys. I'm not making this stuff up. This isn't some scam. Imagine where you could be in 1 year. I was an insecure virgin who was hopeless with the opposite sex. And now I'm here and I get any woman I want. And I'm currently dating multiple stunning women. Imagine where you could be. And that's not just me, guys. Like, I've had students that have done, look at this, Lonely, divorced 45-year-old.
Yeah, and I think the thing is as well, I mean, like he measured it based on how many people that he slept with. But really, I think for a lot of people, it's not necessarily they need to go out and sleep with a load of people in order to feel better about themselves, because it's the same with anything, isn't it? When you look for something externally, like, you know, drinking or eating or taking drugs, and you go for that for a high to feel better, you can get very much caught up in the addiction nature of it. And addicted to the kind of like the gamble almost of whether you're going to score or not. And so, you know, by the looks of it here, what he's got here with this guy. So I'd say that you don't necessarily have to copy him. You know, some people are going to want to settle down and have children, other people want to go out and party, other people are going to want to just go out and date and have some fun or whatever it is. So I don't think you have to copy what he's done, but you can copy the techniques or the method or the system that he says in order to achieve what you want to achieve. It's very important to ask yourself, what do I want? Because you might not necessarily want the same things that John Anthony wants, or, you know, some of the other guys that I've reviewed. So it's important to have an honest conversation with yourself about what your personal target and goal is, and not base your fulfillment on somebody else's desires.
To sleeping with girls in their low 20s and over 50 girls total. Okay, Loris Minetti, he emailed me this down here. He literally slept with only one woman the year before he started working with me, and now he has multiple young, stunning girls that he regularly sees. All right, and he gets 3 new women per month. All right, Rick Sue, he had been trying to master seduction techniques for a long time before he came to me. He had always felt insecure because of his height and his ethnicity. Okay, this is a common one. I helped him break through all his mental blocks, and he took home a beautiful woman way taller than him on the first day of working with me. All right, and that girl turned out to be a virgin, which is kind of funny. He started off having been with 3 girls in his life total. He was already dating some. Okay, he came to me, and he gets 5 new girls per month now. This guy, Peter, he came to me as a virgin in a wheelchair. All right, I was a little reluctant to take him on as a client, but take a look here, guys. I always tell my students not to handicap themselves with negative self-talk, and this guy was literally handicapped. All right, we started from scratch. I've worked with him all the way through. I'm not kidding, guys. He actually had only approached 4 random girls in his whole life. Now, on bad months, he gets 1 new girl, and on normal months, he gets 3. All right, this shows that literally anyone can make a positive transformation with my system. All right, if he can do it in a wheelchair, then any of you guys can definitely do it too, okay? Krishna is a successful hedge fund manager, but despite making a lot of money with business, he was very insecure about himself and his value to women. All right, he'd only been with 20 girls before our training, but most were mediocre, and he wanted more girls and higher quality girls. Okay, can some of you relate to this? Okay, but check out this video where he's dancing with a hot girl, and I motioned for him to kiss the girl. All right, here you have a guy that went from no success to being able to make out with and take home beautiful women. Fast forward to today, and he has been with over 200 different women and is living his dream life. All right, Jason Davis, client in his mid-30s, was looking for a serious relationship. Before he started working with me, he felt that he had never had much choice to pick the women that he actually wanted. Instead, he would settle for whatever he could get, which wasn't a whole lot. All right. He didn't want to end up marrying some average or below average woman. All right. This is a lot of our fears. It's my own personal fear. Still not married currently, but listen to what his results are now. So what he realized was he had to date a bunch to work his way up to improve his dating skills. Okay. And also the value that he brought to the table. He didn't expect to sleep with so many different new girls, but that was part of his evolution, and now he has many options. He ended up settling down with a beautiful girlfriend that he has amazing chemistry with, all right, and that's really cool. Now, the last one I'm going to show you is really impressive. This guy went from being a virgin at age 22 to 47 new girls within only 6 months after starting his training with me. And the crazy part is, he told me it could have been much higher if he had more time to go out. Apparently, he was fairly busy with other stuff besides girls in those 6 months, and he still was able to absolutely crush it. This is super powerful stuff, guys. This guy was a freaking virgin and turned into a rock star with women almost overnight. All right. Now, my training has resulted in 45 marriages, 824 girlfriends, and over 10,000 dates that have...
You see, so when you look at it like that and you look at the individual case studies, I think that it's important to recognize what a positive improvement this is in somebody's life. It's very fulfilling. And I think that the whole pickup artist kind of like scene has got a very seedy nature to it, because there's a lot of scammers out there, because there's a lot of people that are trying to hoodwink people and, you know, hustle them out their money and whatnot. So I think that it's really important that you get somebody that knows what they're talking about and can help you achieve what you want to achieve. And yeah, so I think putting aside all the all the marketing jargon, like you said in the beginning, and all the false results and all that kind of stuff. When you look at the positive improvement at the individual level, I think it's really inspiring.
Been going on, okay? And our community together has slept with over 8,000 women around the world, okay? And that's just what guys are reporting to me, so it could even be much higher. But enough about me, guys. This is how you guys can do this. I want to show you guys how you can do it too, okay? We all see beautiful girls every week, right? It's important to understand that you must approach or open these girls to have any shot at having them in your life, all right? You guys need to realize right now that your odds with a girl are 0% if you do not talk to her, okay? So chickening out on approaching or hesitating or coming up with negative beliefs are all going to contribute to making your chances with that girl 0%. There's no way around that.
I'm just trying to think if I can think of a time where like that's not been the case for me. Like, I've had girls approach me and I've not said anything, but that's not the same as, not talking at all. I had to talk at some point during the interaction. So yeah, we'll give them that.
So instead, go up to her right away and say your opener. So you might be thinking at this point, okay, I understand the importance of approaching girls I see in order to have any chance of having them come into my life, but I feel anxiety or fear when I consider approaching a female stranger in public. Maybe you worry she might reject you, or that you'll look stupid, or that other people will notice.
Again, I don't like that word rejection and reject. I think it's just like in the same way that if you put on a shoe on your foot, when you're trying out, new footwear and you're just trying to see what size fits, or, a piece of clothing or whatever, you put it on, you go, oh, it's just not the right fit, it's a bit too tight or it's a bit too baggy or whatever. And then you get one and you go, oh, that's the right fit, and then you buy it. And I think that's more kind of what it is. And it's a two-way decision-making process. So the girl's got to see if you're a right fit for her, and you've got to see if she's a right fit for you. And if you both fit, there you go, magic happens.
Or that she has a boyfriend, and on and on. Okay, can you guys relate to this? Or there may not even be a good reason, and you may just feel this fear of opening. This is what is referred to as approach anxiety. The good news is I have a solution for you. All right, guys? You need to treat the approach anxiety like you would treat a pebble in your shoe. It's there, but you ignore it. Okay, guys? Even the best guys in seductions.
I think anxiety, I used to get a bit of anxiety when I used to perform magic on stage. It's called stage fright. So stage fright, approach anxiety, it's the same kind of thing, just in a different context. And the way that I came to view it is that pent-up energy is my body's way of telling me that I'm ready to perform. So I when I felt that, anxiety, you could also switch out the word anxiety for excitement. So, the negative version of excitement is anxiety, and the positive version of anxiety is excitement. It's sort of like your body giving you energy. It's got that kind of vibe to it. So I think if you don't label it as anxiety and you label it as excitement, you change the way that you look at that feeling, and that helps frame it a bit more better for you.
Still feel it. Even I still feel it after having slept with over 1,000 women. So don't let it...
Yeah, but wouldn't it be better to say, oh, I'm excited about going out, as opposed to I'm anxious about going out, or I'm excited about approaching this girl because I don't know where it's going to go, as opposed to saying I'm anxious because I don't know if she's going to reject me or not? Isn't it better to say, oh, I'm excited to see if we'd be a right fit for one another? That's more of a kind of healthier way of framing it, I reckon.
It stop you. It's part of our outdated programming in our brains. Don't let it immobilize you.
Yeah, and I agree with him. And I think, if anything, that's what I'm saying. Like, emotions are there to keep you in one place, to bring you back or to push you forward. And so when you feel the anxiety, that's sort of like a backing off. Whereas if you flip it around into excitement, it's a forward accelerator. So I don't think you should kind of like, I see what he's saying, and it's another good piece of advice is to kind of like feel the fear but do it anyway. But what I'm saying is turn that fear into excitement and use it to propel you forward, as opposed to having this kind of uncomfortable feeling when you go to approach.
And prevent you from taking action. Okay, guys? You usually aren't going to make it go away, so you have to train yourself to ignore it and follow my method and advice. So next time you feel the approach anxiety, ignore it and approach immediately, which brings us to the 3 steps.
You can ignore it and approach immediately, and that's one legitimate way of doing it. Or you could pay attention to it and change the label of it.
When you see a girl you want to approach, how quickly should you go in? Preferably you should go in immediately, but you should wait no longer than 3 seconds. Now this is referred to as the 3-second rule. You have a maximum of 3 seconds from the time you see a girl you want to talk to until the time that
you see, I think if you had to go in within 3 seconds, that's creating a bit of a pressure. But I can see what he's saying as well, in the sense that you're kind of acting before you have a chance to doubt yourself. And I think this 3 second rule came from the Mystery Method, which is Mystery is the guy that I reviewed in the last video on the channel.
Until the time that you open her. Okay, now this is really important. It should be noted that communication is broken down like this, guys. 7%, only 7% of what we communicate is through words. 23% is through tone of voice. And the whopping lion's share, 70% of what we communicate is through body language.
That's what I'm saying. So I think that if you're feeling anxious and you kind of ignore it and kind of go in even though you're not ready, I think you're going in so quick because of the anxiety, because you're trying to get in before the kind of weasels come into your mind telling you why you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. And I think that you can kind of just put all that to one side and just get a different relationship with the emotions that you have, so that when you go into a situation, you're more relaxed and comfortable and confident, so that you're not constantly, so that you don't feel as though you have to fight against the negative emotions and the negative thoughts. I haven't explained that very well.
So what you're actually saying is not nearly as important as how you're saying it. Now, remember, getting 2 girls per month is easy. Take Brian Lewis, for example. He gets 2 new girls per week, okay? One of my clients, one of my students. It's not that hard to get 2 new girls a month, guys, okay? So now I'm going to go through some of the main pillars of opening. There are 8 total, but we're only going to cover 4 of them today in the interest of time, okay? So the first one, to start off, be physical, okay? When you open, you want to make sure you are being physical in some way. The reason for this is because there are 2 types of interactions. First, there are platonic friendly interactions where the 2 of you are just exchanging conversational information and there's no frame of it being a potentially romantic or sexual interaction. Okay, this is how you get friend zoned. None of us want to be friend zoned, right, guys? All right. Second, there are man to woman interactions where you are communicating that you are interested in her as more than friends.
I agree with that, but at the same time, I think also you can do that with eye contact before you go in physically. So you can kind of gauge a bit of that connection first, because like the eye is being the window to the soul and all that kind of thing, and a lot is communicated through eye contact. So I think that the eye contact first, and then follow up with some, what they call kino escalation, so to speak. I don't think you have to go in very strong. I think it can be something very gentle, even like a hug or something, just so that you put the person at ease.
Friends, namely in a romantic or sexual way. Physicality during your opener is a great way to set the man-to-woman frame. Okay, guys? Being physical is also a good way to cut the space between the 2 of you as you interact, so that you guys are...
Yeah, because I think once you feel someone and they feel you feel like you know them a bit better, because you know how they physically interact with one another. So I think touch is very important, and it's probably one of the biggest things that's kind of neglected and which prevents people from developing an intimate relationship, because they don't cross the barrier from going over from a conversation to a physical connection.
So that you guys are closer, which further cements the man-to-woman frame. So the next pillar that I want to talk about is vocal tonality. Remember, 23% of what we communicate is through vocal tonality. When you say your opener, and also when you're interacting with her, there are 3 different types of tonality that you can use. All right, number 1, rising intonation. This type of intonation sounds like you're asking a question and it is low value. Okay, it's kind of people.
A bit like the Australian accent, and it kind of goes into it up. So it starts off down here and it goes all the way up. So it's sort of like every sentence sounds like it's asking a question.
Sounds to talk in rising intonation. Okay, guys? Okay, hey, how are you? How are you doing? Okay, don't do this. Okay, number 2, flat intonation. This type of intonation.
And I think the rising intonation is what people do when they're trying to be friendly. Oh, hi, how are you? You okay? You good? And it's kind of like, it's very feminine.
This type of intonation sounds robotic and conveys no emotion at all.
That's kind of what mine is.
Imagine how a robot would talk, all right? Number 3, this is one where you want to be at. This is called commanding tonality. This is the way you want to speak. It is commanding and dominant. It has a downward inflection at the end of each sentence, okay? This is what it sounds like to talk with commanding tonality. Hey, I'm John. I wanted to meet you real quick. What's your name?
Yeah, so it's kind of the opposite to building rapport or seeking rapport and rising intonation.
Your name. This is how you want to be speaking to women, okay, guys? Now, this brings us to the next pillar, which is what you say does not matter. Now, remember...
So the rising goes up, the commanding goes down, and that's the one that he's saying to use. And then the other one is kind of like a flat intonation, robotic, like moi.
Tonality. Hey, I'm John. I wanted to meet you real quick. What's your name? This is how you want to be speaking to women, okay, guys? Now, this brings us to the next pillar, which is what you say does not matter. Now, remember, 7% of what we communicate is through what we actually say.
I was going to say, some of it might matter.
say. Therefore, what you say does not matter very much. Words are simply a tool for expressing your personality through your tonality, facial expressions, and body language. Since what you say does not matter that much, you should say whatever comes to mind when you open. What you say can be as simple as, "Hi, I'm John," okay? It's also okay to have a go-to opener that you use every time, as long as it's not flashy or weird, okay? I typically use, "Hi, can I meet you real quick?" Now, the last pillar I wanted to cover is how to deal with the girl's friends in her group.
But the way you just said that, it sounds like, "Hi, can I meet you real quick?" That sounds like a rising intonation. It doesn't sound commanding. It's asking for permission, and it's kind of approval seeking. So that's interesting that he should say that. And that should be his go-to opener.
Hot girls, or girls in general for that matter, rarely travel alone. So how should you deal with their friends? All right, first off, you're going to want to talk directly to the girl that you're interested in the group. Examples of a girl's friends trying to interfere would be if the friend said, "Sorry, we're lesbians, she can't talk to you," or "We made a rule that we can't talk to guys tonight." Okay, what you would do in these situations is smile and in a casual, no big deal way, introduce yourself to the friend and tell her that you want to talk to her friend, and your cool demeanor will pass the blocking friends test. And so we went through that one, approaching a beautiful woman using my 8 principles that are guaranteed to send women into an attraction frenzy. Now let's talk about the second one, which is an insanely simple attraction process. First, you approach a beautiful woman using the pillars of opening that we already discussed, right? Then step 2 starts off with finding out information about the girl's situation to assess the probability of her coming home with you. So a high probability situation would be a girl all by herself that lost her friends. A low probability situation would be a girl who is there with her boyfriend. Now, I've taken girls home before that are in low probability situations, but it's very, very difficult, and there's always a ton of hot girls in the world. So why waste your time with the low probability situations? Instead, focus on a girl who has a high chance of being taken home, okay? You also are going to be escalating physically.
Or focus on the girl that you'd like to take home. Not just to rack up the numbers.
So that she doesn't put you in the dreaded friend zone, all right? I don't know about you guys, but I hated being in the friend zone, and you avoid that simply by being physical, which shows you are interested in being more than friends. Does that make sense? Physical escalation refers to your body coming into contact with her body. This includes holding her hand, having your arm.
But again, a lot of people do that in a very friendly nature. So I think I do agree with him, but I think it's also more than that, because there's an underlying, you get that feeling when you're attracted to someone and they're attracted to you that, like, oh, we like each other, don't we? It's on. It's kind of like an unspoken, it's not a physical thing. It's kind of something a bit more illusory.
Around her back or her arm around your neck, kissing, making out, holding her in close, etc. Okay? Being physical throughout the interaction will allow you to continue the man-to-woman frame that you set at the start of the interaction when you opened physically. Remember that part? It also puts sex on the table for later on if you go home together, and increases the probability that she will comply to go home with you to begin with. Okay, that's because touching, making out, etc. will turn the girl on and raise her compliance and odds that she'll want to sleep with you. And simultaneously, you're going to be planning the idea of taking her home later. This is called seeding the pull. It sets the frame that the two of you will be hanging out later on at your place. Okay, you should be seeding the pull very early on in the interaction, okay, usually within the first minute. Now, if you remember back in step 1 about opening, I explained how being physical early on.
I do like the fact that he's going in very direct and very open and honest about his intentions. Kind of in the same way that Paul Janka did in the other video that I looked at. I really do. They kind of strike me as very similar, actually. Except for it seems like he may have slept with a lot more women than Paul.
Sets the frame as a sexual interaction. The same principle applies here. By seeding the pull, you're setting the frame from the beginning that the two of you will be hanging out later at your place. So it's a good idea to seed the pull along with asking the logistical questions. As you seed the pull, you should be talking about the pull as if we're already agreed upon, as if you already set plans. For example, if you're inviting her back to play beer pong, you're not going to...
Again, this is a free video and there's a lot of rock solid stuff in this.
You're not going to ask, "Do you want to come back and play beer pong?" Instead, you're going to ask, "Are you good at beer pong?" And tell her that she can be on your team later if she says yes. If she says she's not good at beer pong, you can respond, "That's okay, I'm good, so I'll carry the team." All right, now setting these frames is going to get a lot of yeses, which ultimately lead to getting the girl. So how do you actually close the girl? I'm going to show you how to implement the right systems and processes to close women on autopilot so you can actually have a life. All right, spoiler alert, most people teach this the wrong way. Okay, now guys, pay close attention to what I'm going to tell you next. One of the biggest mistakes is to take a woman's objections to going home with you as an indication that she is not interested and giving up immediately. It is normal in almost every instance for a woman who is interested in you to give these token objections.
I think if interest is high enough, she'll work with you for the outcome that you both want. And so, although you may be able to get a home and you may even have sex and all that kind of stuff, and even maybe have a short-term relationship, eventually there's not enough desire there in the beginning to warrant a durable relationship over time. But again, it all depends on what you want.
All right, it stops most guys dead in their tracks, but being equipped to deal with them properly gives you a big advantage.
And sometimes the objections, logistical objections, and they're just kind of like the woman does want to do it. It's just that she's like, oh, I'm here with friends, or I've got to be up in the morning, or, there's a variety of things, obstacles in the way. But again, the woman, if the girl wants to meet up with you, and her desires there, then she'll be chasing you. That's the more healthier way of doing it, as opposed to you trying to overcome objections. It's much better if the girl chases you.
Really gives you a big advantage in ultimately getting the girl. So the secret to closing the girl, guys, is super simple. If her logistical situation is favorable to going home with you and you are able to overcome her objections, then you would proceed to leave the venue with her and hook up. In all other cases, you would frame a meetup for a date at a later time and take her phone number.
Again, I think this is a very good video, and I think it is quite binary like that. Yeah.
All right, now it's really as simple as that. Now, guys, while there are 14 main objections for the girl to go home with you,
And that's the way I like that he says it. It really is as simple as that. And I think that a lot of people overcomplicate stuff. And even early in the video when he said, my 8, principles and all that, I know that he's kind of gone through them a bit, and I get it, because relationships are complicated to a certain extent, but it is simple. It's kind of like he says, like a 3-stage process. Everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and they're either interested or they're not. And I see things as very binary. That might just be the way I look at things. And I think that if you get overly absorbed in the grey area, you're not going to be able to see any progress.
For the girl to go home with you, we don't have time in this webinar to cover all 14, so I'm only going to go over the top 3. So the first and most common objection is the girl saying that she can't leave her friends. I've tested all sorts of responses, and the one that works the best is replying with, I can't leave my friends either. A bunch of my friends are here, so I have to come back. Keep in mind, this is the answer you would give in the first half of the night. For the second half of the night, you would tell her that she can text her friends the address and they can meet up with her later. Another major objection is that the girl has to be up early. This can happen on weekdays when the girl has work or other activities going on. All right, so you would answer this by saying, what time do you have to be up? The girl will give you a time, and then you tell her that you have to be up 1 hour earlier than whatever.
You see, if you've not gone out with a bunch of friends, or if you don't have to be up an hour earlier, then you're kind of lying. And that's the trouble with these kind of canned responses. And I appreciate that for somebody that's nervous and all that kind of stuff, it's good to have a script to kind of stick to and a sort of system in order to be able to just default to that. But I think really it's more important to go out and just be honest and not really have these canned responses, and just sometimes you don't even need to say anything. You just kind of look at them and they know what they're saying is bullshit, or you can see that they're really struggling with trying to solve this issue and they just need your help. So, and each individual situation is different, and it's good. Each interaction you're going to have with somebody is going to be completely different, and the circumstances are going to be different. So everything is very unique. So although these canned responses are very good for somebody that's nervous and anxiety prone, which are probably his clients and stuff, it's more important, I think, to develop a better relationship with yourself and your natural instincts, so that you can unapologetically follow your desires instead of having to worry about how you're coming across and what people are going to say and how they're going to respond.
Whatever she said. Okay, so you would say, that's not an excuse, just come for half an hour and I'll kick you out after that. Haha. Make sense, guys? All right, now the third and last objection I'll go over with you today is if she says, what if you're a murderer or a serial killer? All right, this comes from girls watching too much CSI.
Well, especially when you go out dressed like me. I mean, it's like,
So you should respond with something funny and playful like, haha, damn, you have me all figured out already. All right, she knows you're not actually a murderer. She wants to see that you're cool and normal. So you don't want to become defensive or upset, okay? She needs to see that you're comfortable and relaxed in order to go anywhere with you. So it's simple. If you learn how to close effectively, you will get beautiful women on autopilot. Let me show you the proof of this.
Right, so far we're just over 20 minutes into this video. I think this is very good advice. I think it's very well condensed down. I think it's a good presentation. Yeah, it's all good so far. Very good.
Right? So William, he said, He gets over 8 new girls a month, and he's achieving the sex life he's always wanted. He's an amazing guy. He's a cop. He says the biggest thing I would say for those that are getting started is to learn how to answer objections properly when trying to take home the girl. Once I got competent with handling these token objections, my results literally doubled overnight. You got this. Here we go again. Sam Peterson, right? This is my friend from college. This is from back when I first started coaching, right? October 15th, 2012. And he even said it back then. He said, if you learn how to close, the biggest difference this month was closing all the girls I went on dates with. So if you get good at closing, you're good to go. Okay? Here's another thing.
Yeah, again, it sounds very much like a sales funnel, but that's because it is.
Morton, one of my boys, I love Morton. He said, it is rare to not take a girl home from a date now, and I usually take the girl home within an hour of meeting up with her. I've also taken several girls home within 5 to 10 minutes of meeting them in nightclubs. This is coming from a guy who was a virgin at 25 and had no success the first 2 years of dating. These people that I just showed you put out all the fires, right? They approach.
As a man, you really want to be a good leader and you want to be dominant and lead the interaction. So, again, having a structure or a system or something that, this is your process of which you do things, and then the girl can either comply or goodbye, as they say. She can follow along or choose not to, and either way is fine because you just go speak to somebody else. And I think that what happens is a lot of time guys get stuck with the old one-itis and they don't extend their funnel at the top of meeting people and creating the opportunities to meet new people.
Beautiful women using my 8 principles guaranteed to send women into an attraction frenzy. They used an insanely simple attraction process. They implemented the right systems and processes to close women on autopilot, and now they're getting a whole lot of women. I showed you all this, right? Rick gets 5 girls a month. Krishna has been with over 200 women. Loris is getting 3 new women a month. William gets more than 8 girls per month. Jason found his dream girlfriend, who he later married. Ron went from a virgin to 47 new girls in 6 months. Christopher is sleeping with over 100 a year. Aaron has been with 7 new women.
Everyone's happy because they're getting laid. And again, it sounds very trivial, but it's probably one of the most important things. We're here to survive and reproduce. And in the world that we live in today, a lot of people are very fortunate to be able to survive much more easily than they would have done a couple of 100 years ago. But reproduction and attraction and all that kind of stuff has always been an issue for men throughout human history. So, it's good to come up with a solution to people's problem.
Okay, guys, the hard way to do this is to just look through all of the fire
Oh my God, that is a lot of fire extinguishers
and just hope that this one will be the one that can put out those 3 fires. This is the one that will teach me how to put out those 3 fires. Because all you have to do is put out the 3 fires, but there's so many options. There's so many courses, there's so many gurus, there's so many just things trying to teach you how to do this, right? There's only 1, 2, or maybe 3 that will ever work. But the easy way is to just get the one that works, that shows you the formula to put out the fires and to get the girl or girls that you want. So who of you wants a predictable...
Yeah, and the people that I've looked at on the channel so far, the 3 that kind of resonate with me the most, even though I don't agree with them exactly, because everyone has their own kind of technique and method, I agree with what John Anton is saying. Andrew Tate, we looked at his PhD program. I agree with that. And Paul Janka was doing something similar. And if you look at all 3 of those guys, they have a very similar system. They have a very similar approach. They have a very similar directness.
Who wants a predictable dating system that teaches you how to meet, attract, and close 2, 5, even 10 amazing women every single month? Anybody out there want it? Anybody want that? Because guys, what I'm doing is I'm going to look for some people who are interested in this, and this is perfect for guys who want to have a dating system that actually gets them girls they want and doesn't just waste all of your time and money. Who have the ability to...
Okay, I'm going to kind of bring the video to a close now. I know that there's about another few minutes of it left, but that seems to be more of a kind of salesy kind of like getting to buy the program or the coaching or whatever it is that he's selling. And so I think we've got the most juice out of this video, and I don't want to make this video too long either, and it's already quite a long one. So John Anthony Lifestyle, very good, very unique selling point of the amount of women that he slept with. I agree with a lot of what he said. I'm not so keen on the objectification of people and using them as primarily numbers, but he seems to strike me as somebody that sees it as like a sport, like fishing or something. He seems to be wanting to sleep with people as like his hobby. Yeah, like a sportsman. So it's not the way that I'd like to approach it, but everyone to their own. And a lot of the principles that he's saying resonate true with me. A very interesting video from a man that has a very unique perspective.